today, I want you to find another place to stay. Lily stared at him, stunned. What are you talking about, Dad? This is my home. Not anymore, it isn't. Linda and her daughter Sarah will be moving in next week. I think it's best for everyone. How can you do this, Dad? Mom just died, and you're already moving them in. Lily's voice broke.
I see you, my heart they beats. A lady of all men's dreams. You be the one where they
Hey guys, welcome today. You know, when grief and deceit collide, the consequences can be devastating. Meet Lily, a brave young girl whose life changed forever. On the day of her mother's funeral, her father, George, brought home his mistress, Linda, on the very day they were saying goodbye to her mother. Before we dive into this story, please take a moment and like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into it. The church was filled with white lilies and roses, her mom's favorite flowers. The air smelled strongly of them, and it's mixed with the soft murmur of the crowd, all dressed in black. Lily stood by the casket, saying her silent goodbyes. She noticed her dad, George, looking uneasy. He wasn't alone. Beside him was Linda, one of her mom's friends, who seemed a little too comfortable, touching George's arm and whispering in his ear. "Why is Linda here, Dad?" "You know Mom wasn't close with her in the end," Lily asked, trying to keep her voice steady. George cleared his throat, avoiding her gaze. "She wanted to pay her last respect, Lily. Let's not make a scene." As the ceremony went on, their whispers and knowing looks didn't stop. It felt like a slap in the face. Her mom's memory and the grief didn't seem to matter to them. Lily tried to focus on the eulogies and the beautiful memories shared by real friends and family. But the sight of Linda giggling quietly to something George said made her blood boil. After the funeral, back at the house, the through bomb dropped while Lily was arranging the catering for the wake. George pulled her aside, his face stern. "Lily, I need to talk to you about something very important. After today, I want you to find another place to stay." Lily stared at him, stunned. "What are you talking about, Dad? This is my home. Not anymore, it isn't. Linda and her daughter Sarah will be moving in next week. I think it's best for everyone. How can you do this, Dad? Mom just died, and you're already moving them in." Lily's voice broke, tears streaming down her face. "It's been hard on everyone, Lily. Linda has been a great support for me, and it's time we stop hiding." "So it was true, Dad? You guys were together even before Mom passed." Lily felt like she was going to collapse right there in the hallway. "You are choosing her over your own daughter." "It's not about choosing, Lily. It's about moving forward. I guess you do the same," George said. The room spun as Lily listened to him. The rest of the day was a blur. Friends and family came up to her, offering condolences, unaware of the betrayal that was unfolding right under their noses. She felt alone, utterly alone. That night, after everyone had left and the house was quiet, Lily packed a bag. There was no way she could stay there another night. She called her best friend Emma, who immediately told her to come over. "Everything is going to be okay, Lily. Just get here when you can," Emma said, her voice a lifeline in the midst of Lily's turmoil. As Lily left what was once her home, she vowed to herself that this wasn't going to be the end. George and Linda would not only get away with tearing her world apart. She didn't know how yet, but she was going to make sure they regretted this betrayal. In the darkness, driving to Emma's place, she started to plan. They thought they could discard her and step over her mother's memory without consequence. They were wrong. So wrong. Crashing on Emma's couch, Lily couldn't sleep. Her mind was racing. And every time she closed her eyes, she saw George and Linda's smug face. By 3 a.m, frustration and a burning need for action had her scrolling through Linda's social media on her phone. Looks like she's been part of our lives longer than we thought, Lily muttered to herself as she found photos of Linda and her dad together, dated way before her mom's diagnosis. Each picture was like a knife turning in her guts. But anger is a powerful motivator, and as dawn broke, she had a plan forming. Emma, hearing Lily stare around the kitchen, shuffled in, rubbing her eyes. "You are up early," was brewing beside the coffee. "They've been lying for years, Emma. It's all here, clear as day. I am going to expose them, every dirty little secret." Emma poured herself a cup and leaned against the counter. "How are we going to do that? You know they will deny everything. Public humiliation works better than denial. We will need evidence they can't refute. I'm thinking a big reveal at a place they can't escape from," Lily said. Nodding, Emma pulled out her laptop. "Let's dig deeper then. Maybe there are others out there who's been hurt by them too." They spent the morning hacking away at their keyboard, gathering every scrap of evidence they could find. Comments under photos, date, location. It's all painted a clear picture of deceptions. By noon, Lily had a list of names, people who had interacted with Linda and her dad, potential allies, and others who had been wronged by them. "Time to make some call," Lily said, dialing the first number. The conversations were eye-opening. Betrayals, business deals gone wrong, families torn apart. Linda and George had left a trail of destruction. With each call, their network grew. A former business partner of her dad, whom he cheated out of deal. Linda's ex-best friend, backstabbed and lied to. Even a cousin who'd been suspicious of their affair. They all agreed to help, to come forward with their short stories. "Looks like you started a movement, Lily," Emma said, half joking, but with a spark of pride in her eyes. "It's not just for me, it's for my mom. They are not going to get away with this," Lily replied, her resolve hardening as they planned their next move. Lily could feel the power shifting. They weren't just two people wronged by selfishness. They were gathering storm, ready to break over George and Linda, with the force of all their misdeed catching up to them. That night, as Lily lay on Emma's couch, she finally felt a moment of peace, not because she had forgotten the pain, but because she was doing something about it. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but Lily was planning to serve it up as a blazing inferno. With a network forming and her plan taking shape, the next step was clear. She needed more allies, more evidence. Her mother had friends, true friends, who had been sidelined or duped by George and Linda, just as she had. It was time they knew the truth. First on Lily's list was Barbara, her mom's oldest friend. She had always been like an aunt to Lily and had been devastated by her mom's passing. Lily knew she'd want to help. "Barbara, it's Lily. I found out some things about George and Linda. Can we meet?" Barbara's voice was cautious but concerned. "Of course, honey. Come over." Sitting in Barbara's living room, the same room where she played as a child, Lily laid out everything: the affair, the deception, the way they manipulated everyone around them. "George was never the man your mother believed he was," Barbara said sadly, her eyes glistening with tears. "And to think he did all this while she was ill. What can I do to help, Lily?" "We need to expose them, Barbara, publicly. They are getting an award next month, the perfect time. Everyone will be there. You can count on me, Lily. I will gather others. There are more who's seen things, heard things. We can do this together." From Barbara, Lily went to see Caroline, another of her mom's friends, and then David, a former colleague of her dad, who's been suspicious of his sudden wealth. Each meeting added more pieces to the puzzle, more strength to their case. Back at Emma's place, They mapped out their plan on a big whiteboard. It has to be during their acceptance speech. We will distribute copies of emails, photos, testimonies from all of us who's been hurt by their actions. As they think they've gotten away with it, Lily said, marking the event date with a big red circle. Emma nodded, plunging dates and actions into a shared digital calendar. We'll need to be stealthy. If they catch wind of what we are planning, they will shut it down. The weeks leading up to the event were a blur of activity, meetings, collecting evidence, reassuring nervous allies. But through it all, Lily felt a strength she hadn't known before. Her mom had always taught her to stand up for what's right, to be the voice for those who couldn't speak. She was doing this for her, for all the silent victims of George and Linda's selfishness. The night before the event, their group met for one last briefing. The room was full of her mom's friends, her allies, each one carrying a story, a grievance, a desire for justice. They reviewed everything, each person's role, the timing, the backup plans. We can do this, Lily reassured them, feeling the weight of leadership, but also the power of community. Tomorrow, we take back our dignity. We show them they can't just use people and throw them away. Are we all in? Nods and murmurs of agreement filled the room, a chorus of shared resolve. That night, Lily barely slept. She wasn't just trying to expose two liars. She was trying to heal a community, to restore the faith that had been broken by deceit. As dawn crept through the curtains, she knew that no matter what happened, they were ready. They were standing up together, and that was something no one could take away from them. The community center was buzzing with anticipation, decorated lavishly for the annual service award ceremony. Tonight, George and Linda were to be honored, but they were about to receive more than they bargained for. Lily arrived early with Emma and the rest of their group, each of them carrying stacks of envelopes, stuffs, and copies of incriminating emails, photos, and witness statements. As the attendees started to trickle in, they mingled casually, handing out the envelopes to key community members under the guise of sharing additional information about the award program. Make sure you take a look inside before the ceremony starts, Lily whispered to each person, her heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. The room filled quickly. The locals, who greeted each other with handshake and smiles, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. From across the room, Lily caught sight of George and Linda, laughing and soaking in the admiration. It fueled her resolve. As the ceremony began, the master of ceremonies took stage, announcing the achievement and community service of various members. Building up the main event, Lily's stomach knotted as she watched George and Linda prepare to take the stage, their smiles wide and confident. The moment they stepped up to accept their award, a prominent community leader, Mr. Thompson, stood up. He held up one of the envelopes they had distributed earlier. I think there is something we all need to see before we go any further, Mr. Thompson announced, his voice carrying over the murmurs of the crowd. He pulled out the content, displaying them for all to see, a photo of George and Linda at a luxury resort, timestamped during a period when George had told everyone he was at a business conference. The crowd gasped, the room erupted in whispers and shocked faces, turning towards George and Linda, who stood frozen on the stage. Mr. Thompson continued, his tone firm. We have testimonies from many people who have been hurt by George and Linda. This community does not honor this seat. One by one, other attendees stood up, sharing their stories, the pieces of evidence they held in their hands. The atmosphere shifted palpably from celebration to indignation. George tried to speak, to deny the allegations, but the evidence was overwhelming. People he had known for years Trusted friends and colleagues shook their head and turned away. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for this interruption, but it seems we have been misled. Mr. Thompson concluded, motioning for George and Linda to leave the stage. Humiliated, they made their way through the crowd, which parted to let them pass. Their expressions were a mix of disbelief and shame. No one reached out to them. No comforting hands were offered. As they exited, the room burst into a flood of conversations. Everyone was piecing together the experiences, the lies and manipulations suddenly clear. Standing with Emma and the rest of their group, Lily felt a weight lift off her shoulder. The truth was out, and justice, in its own way, had been served. They had stood up not just for Lily's mom, but for everyone George and Linda had deceived. That night, after the event, the fallout for George and Linda was swift and severe. The community that had once embraced them now shunned them. George's professional dealings crumbled as partners and clients distanced themselves from him, unwilling to associate with deceit. Meanwhile, Linda, faced with isolation and disdain, decided to leave George, taking her daughter and disappearing from the life they had tried to build on lies. In the weeks that followed, Lily's phone started ringing more than it had in years. Relatives of George, some of them whom she hadn't spoken to since she was a child, were appalled by his actions and the pain he had caused. One of her uncles, a lawyer, reached out to offer his help. "We want to make things right, Lily. Let's get you back into your family home and make sure you have what you need to move forward," he said. With his help, Lily began the legal process to reclaim the home that had been so abruptly taken from her. It wasn't just about the property, it was about restoring a sense of justice, not just for Lily, but for her mother's memory. The house felt different when Lily finally walked back through its doors as its rightful owner. The walls that had once echoed with laughter and love and later betrayal were now hers to fill with new memories. She envisioned a place not of past hurt, but of healing and hope. With the support of Emma and the community, Lily transformed the home into a vibrant community center named after her mother. It became a hub for charity events, support groups and art programs. Everything her mother had loved. Her mother's portrait hung in the main hall, a reminder of the love and resilience that had guided her life. As Lily stood in the bustling center during its opening ceremony, surrounded by friends, family and neighbors, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought her here. She had faced unimaginable betrayal, fought back against manipulation and greed, and through it all, she has preserved her mother's dignity and reclaimed her life. "This center is more than just a tribute to my mom," Lily shared with the gathered crowd. Her voice steady and clear. "It's a place for all of us to find support, to build community, and to help each other. Thank you for standing with me, for believing in second chances and new beginning." As people clapped, hugged, and shared their own stories, Lily realized that while she could never bring her mother back, she could honor her by living the values she had instilled in her: strength, compassion, and integrity. George, now a shadow of his former self, remains alone, a result not of Lily's vengeance but of his own choices. Fate, it seems, had dealt with him the hardest blow of all, living with him. Lily felt a peace she hadn't known in a long time. The past will always be a part of her, but it will not define her. She had fought for justice, not with bitterness, but with a hope for a better future, and that made all the difference. And that brings us to the end of Lily's story. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were in Lily's shoes, would you have taken the same steps to expose the truth and seek justice? Or would you have chosen a different path? What would you have done differently and why? Please share your thoughts and experience in the comment sections below. Your insights not only help us all learn from each other, but also make our community stronger. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Your support means a lot to us. Let's keep the conversation going till I see you again in my next story. Goodbye.